Hey there, Agile Adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And joining us this week from Canada, the beautiful country of Canada, which we all love, right? Even the Americans, although sometimes it doesn't look like it, is Wasim Osman. Hey, Wasim, welcome to the show.
Hey, Vasco. Thanks for inviting me. Happy to be here. And I'm very excited for this conversation.
Me too. So let's dive right into it. So let me tell you a little bit about Wasim. He's a seasoned Agile coach and product owner, and he launched his career at a Silicon Valley startup based in New York, and then spent years coaching teams across Canada, helping organizations transform how they deliver value. And he brings a rare blend of Agile discipline and product thinking, which is a very needed blend, let me say that up front. And he's passionate about building technology that drives real business impacts. But Wasim, let's dive into your story. So tell us first, how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Absolutely. So it's actually, this was not something that I was planning on, obviously, because I come from a very different academic background. So I studied in finance and particularly stock markets. So I was going to school in the UK back at that time. And even though I was studying finance, I was very much interested in software development from a very early age. And not only just necessarily just programming, but even younger, I was very interested in 3D animation. So those things were always there. I never took my passion as seriously enough to consider them for my career in one way or the other. So that's why I was thinking, okay, so I have to get into much more of a solid subject like finance or anything like that. And so that's where I was going. However, right after I finished school, I quickly realized I did not really enjoy the work environment of a finance professional. It's like a lot of numbers, which is fine. I'm not scared of numbers, but it's just not, it's not necessarily, it was not me.
Not people.
Yeah. So soon after, after I graduated, as I was looking for work, I was very confused. I was not sure, whatever that I graduated from, that's not the direction I want to go. So then what am I doing? Right. So I was very confused. And that was when I came across this company, and they were. I understood that this was a tech company. I looked them up online, and I found out I really loved the culture, kind of like the open office concept that they had. A very big departure from finance related organizations. So definitely a plus for me. But I also knew that I was not an engineer. So, so how do I make my way into an organization like that? Because it was a hardcore tech company. So they were hiring for non-tech roles as well. So I immediately applied. I got into the people team of all teams. Really not something that I was looking into, but I had this in my mind that, I was a fresh graduate. I did not have enough experience. So I could, I did not have the leverage to be opinionated. I wanted the opportunity first. I can learn and then make my way into whichever direction I wanted to. So I got in there. worked in the people team for about a year or so. And then within that year, because I was so interested in how the engineering teams worked, turned out that I actually knew a lot about the how the teams worked more than probably a few people, like a lot more than a lot of others, I would say. So at that time, so at the end of like the first year, the company was also looking for like heavily adopting, like moving away from a waterfall kind of setup to a more agile setup for all of its engineering teams. And in order to do that, there was like a big movement at that time going on. And, being a tech company, which is popular at that space, they wanted to make like a PR sort of movement by pushing the engineers and hosting environment, like training programs for Scrum and Agile certifications. So this was like this office that I was working at the time was back in Bangladesh, and this was like this the branch for like of the New York company, New York based company over there. So in the region, the one of the biggest names in like agile Scrum certification program kind of like authorities, I would say, is Pete Deemer. So he was also the co-founder of GameSpot.com. So I knew about him like from like a long time ago, and the company was thinking of bringing him. So he was living in Sri Lanka back at that time, and he was training engineering teams and software engineers across the region over there. So the company was thinking of bringing him in and hosting a few sessions and inviting a lot of the engineers from people in the surrounding area. And so because of that movement, like I was like at that time, I was part of the people team as well as I was like, gaining a lot of knowledge about how the engineering teams worked. I was a big part of like organizing team of those events.
And how did that lead to you becoming a Scrum Master? Because I mean, people team to Scrum Master, I mean, I see the connection, but it's not the most obvious one.
It is not at all obvious. It is not at all obvious. So what happened was like our company's biggest underlying motivation for hosting those events were to look for engineers that could transform, that were looking into not programming anymore, but more into managerial roles. So the company kind of like identified those to be the ideal candidates for Scrum Masters that they wanted to have. But all the candidates we got up until that point were not necessarily fulfilling what we were looking for. So the company thought, like, if we do a few events, maybe we can find like really good candidates and we can hire from there. That was the underlying motivation. But interestingly, what happened, like after those events were like happened, and we were like being very like involved with that, our head of engineering came up to me one day, and I don't know what was going on in his head. So he came up to me one day and he said like, I have a random question, if you don't mind. I'm like, okay. And he was like, did you think this is a role that you would be considering? I'm like, yes. I'm like, no. Take a few time to take your time, take a few days, and then come back to me. I want you to really think about it. And I was like, okay, but the answer is going to be probably the same. So I went back to the drawing board. I really thought about like the career path that's going to be, and because I was more than a year before that time, I knew that that was the very reason that I got into this company, because I wanted to transition into engineering team one way or the other. So it was an easy yes for me. So 2 days later, I came up to him and I said like, yes, absolutely. That's the direction I want to go. And he said like, but you don't have any experience working with engineering teams. So what I'm going to do is, like, one of the senior engineers at that time, he was working like as a senior engineer at the same time he was performing the Scrum ceremonies. So he said like, you can shadow him so you can kind of learn from him, and maybe you can do that for a quarter and then you can take over. So that's what exactly I did. He was also very nice, and the team members were the team that I was being tagged with was also very nice. Um, But I also learned interesting things while doing that. Like I found out like a few of the engineers were not very convinced about the idea. Why do we need a software development industry? We're doing fine. We are communicating with each other. We know what's going on. Why do we need to have this overhead? So and I'm like, and at that time I was not an acting Scrum Master, but I was shadowing him. So I was just learning, okay, so there's like a bit of opinions over there as well. So I need to be aware of that. And I did not want to come across like, as a person who would be imposing. This is a role, so I have to just push it, shove it on you. I just absolutely didn't want it to do that. So I wanted it to be as organic as possible. I was like, if you don't want to do it, we're not going to do it at the beginning. So after that quarter, when I actually had like one engineering team completely assigned to me, I think I'm blessed in the way that engineering team had the senior most engineers. They were working on a very complicated project at that time, and they were very acceptable. They were accepting all the mistakes that I was making. And that helped me a lot into not feeling like, I should like go in a corner and like and not talk about anything, so let them run the show. I didn't have to do that, which is why I think like the two things happens actually because of that. I learned a lot. One, I became very confident, like, okay, so this is how this can work. And the other thing was that a lot of the other engineering teams had a lot of young engineers, and they knew that I just transitioned into this role. And when they saw that I was successfully kind of like being a part of the senior most engineering team, like, okay, maybe he's not so intimidating, So that
maybe
was like
somebody that we can talk to.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
So what would be like from that journey, which is quite a journey, right? Like from training in finance to going to the people and culture team, and then eventually ending up as a Scrum Master for an engineering team. What are one or two key lessons that you want everybody to get from this? Because I'm sure that right now people listening to us are actually going through that kind of transition.
Absolutely. I think a lot of what happens with any sort of career roles is that like when you look at a particular role, you think, what can I do to go there? I think the homework should start a lot earlier than that. You should absolutely, the person who's looking for a particular role should already have that like direction, like be in that direction before starting even the journey. So, and then things become easier and more organic. So particularly roles like being an agile coach, a scrum master, a product owner, these particular roles need a little bit of history for that person to be familiar with those particular roles. So I had software development. I was not a stranger to that. It was very much organically something I was interested in. I always looked up like what was going on in the software development industry, even like when I was free. It was just for hobby entertainment purposes, right? So that got me up to speed. So whenever I was in a conversation with any of the engineering teams, or even in an interview in the future that I did afterwards, absolutely got contributed to my previous research and interests absolutely contributed to me being successful in those roles.
So kind of being deliberate about looking for the opportunities and the roles.
Absolutely.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us, Wasim.
Of course.
All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you, the members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack.
We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.